Last week I did a video talking about the top 5 sausages in Magic, all inspired by the new Stone Coil Serpent art in the Secret Lair Snakes, where there's a little man impaled up the bum with a spike, and his flaccid todger is just there for the whole world to see. In this video I'm going to be talking about that todger and its removal. More of that in a moment. So just bear in mind that I'm probably getting demonetized. I get demonetized just for swearing in the opening of these videos. So if you feel like it, perhaps subscribe, like the video to at least give me a bit of extra reach. If you want to support the show, the best way to do so is to join my Patreon, link in the description below to get access to the Discord server, or you can use Cool Stuff Inc. to buy your Magic cards using my link below, get 5% off your order to help support the show. So Stone Coil Serpent had a little man sat on a spike with his Wilkins. Just there, out there in the world. The man is thriving, you know, absolutely manifesting. If you could say being stuck on a spike with your cock out is thriving. But Wizards of the Coast responded to everyone, including myself, finding this very, very funny by saying they're going to remove Little Red Man with cock out. Now, I think Little Red Man with cock out is going to be a legendary character going forward. Not in the sense that they're going to print a card of him, but I think they should. I think the next Unhinged set, the Unset, should have him perhaps censored so there's not just a massive dick on display. But I think they should probably make him a character. Little Red Naked Man who got a spike up himself. I want to know his story. How did this naked man get a spike up his bum? So long story short, the main crux of this video is that they're going to be removing it from the Stone Coil Serpent art, and because Secret Lair is a print-to-demand set, that means that in theory they should all be gone. In theory, the edits will mean that people will get them without Little Man with Penis on it. But I do suspect some of these have already been printed in some way. Like I said, Secret Lairs are print to demand, so you make your order, they print them and send them to you. Unlike other Magic product that is printed, stored in a warehouse and then sold through local game stores or predominantly Amazon these days to custom. An example of this being this kind of change in a recent set would be in Ikoria, where one of the Godzilla cards had the name Death Corona, and during the coronavirus outbreak, I'm talking very early on, they opted to change that name to something else. It's like Space Monster. I'll put it on screen now. The Death Corona ones were in the early print run of Ikoria Lair of the Monsters or Beasts, or whatever the stupid subname of that set was, and the Corona one is now worth approximately £10 if you're looking on eBay and stuff like that. For an uncommon Godzilla treatment, that's quite a high price tag actually, because it's a bit of a rarity, it's a novelty, it's a collector's item now because it got changed and there will never be, in theory, more Death Coronas printed. That one had a bit more of examples to it. The Death Corona thing is referencing something that we've all dealt with in our lives and we all remember. There's no one on this earth that will not remember the coronavirus and how it's affected us then and now. And beyond that as well, it is a Godzilla treatment card, which also means its likelihood of getting a reprint with this art is very, very slim. So there's a few factors making this a rather unique Magic card in this scenario. So there are some other examples of them changing things a little bit late for the Secret Lair as well. So for example, there was a Will the Wise. This was a Stranger Things character who accidentally had the word homo written behind him, which was not fantastic. It's meant to be homecoming, but then the head got in the way of the certain letters and so on. And this character being now, since the Secret Lair was printed actually in season 4 of Stranger Things, being confirmed as being basically the main or only queer character in the show, that was an unfortunate circumstance that they then fixed by changing the art ahead of it coming out. And as far as I know, and all of my Googling and looking and paying attention to the general Magic populace, I don't believe the one with the very unfortunate arrangement of letters behind his head exists in the wild. They caught it, they changed it, and it's not out there. Meanwhile, there was a bit of a different situation when they did an April Fool's Secret Lair that involved all of the most famous meme cards in Magic's history. Stormcrow and a white bordered Tybalt the Fiend-Blooded, but in amongst them was a new sort of ironic arted Squire, a card that everyone knows is bad and power crept out of the game, a blank Stoneforge Mystic if you will, but they got Noah Bradley to do the art. And around this time, Noah Bradley opened up and admitted to a long-term rumour that he was a sex pest and a bit of a predator. I'm not being hyperbolic, he admitted that he has just been an absolute menace at events in the past and that he's growing from it. But he was ostracised from the community, and probably for good reason if we're honest. We don't want people like this around making the environment unsafe for others. And then plus all the fact that half of his art is all based off of quite how do I put this politely, self-aggrandizing posing of himself as the character. It's all, when you combine this with the admission and then some other things on the internet about him having the steps to power as a screensaver or background on a computer. It's all really, really gross. So Wizards did the right thing and said, you know what, we're going to cut Noah Bradley from the secret lair. However, when this got out in the wild, there were some squires still in with some of the secret lairs. There are reportedly physical copies of Noah Bradley's squire out there. Now, I couldn't find a price for what a Noah Bradley squire goes for, but again, it's going to be a collectible item because there's so few of them in the wild. Completionists and oddity collectors are going to want this as a part of Magic's history because it's an interesting story of an artist who was absolutely the community's darling, going full mask off and admitting to being an absolute piece of shit. So where does the Stone Cold Serpent with his dick out fit in all of this? Well, there's examples here of these cards getting into the wild prior to the changes with the Squire, but also being caught and adjusted accordingly by Wizards of the Coast. So will there be some Stone Cold Serpents with his Wilkins out in the wild? Well, in the wild, probably no. I don't imagine he's going to show up on people's laps unless there's been a massive incompetence somewhere. Bearing in mind that in the past when they removed the penis from Goblin Ember Mage, but the foil art still end up having the penis-looking thing on its skirt. I also wonder if some of these are printed early on and given to staff, workers, and similar, so there will be some of these in personal collections that won't surface for 5 or 10 years. That might even happen with Will the Wise and the Unfortunate Lettering as well. So I think if we do see a Stone Cold Serpent slip out into the public, even now or in a few years' time with a dick on it, I think the meme value of Dick Stone Cold Serpent is so high that this card is gonna beg for an expensive price tag, especially considering it's a meme variant of a secret lair, which means this version will probably never see print again. That's kind of how the secret lair arts work. Either way, the whole situation is very, very funny. I completely understand why Wizards of the Coast might want to remove the dick from their Magic cards, but I also think I kind of wish it stayed. It's just a little cartoon penis. How puritanical do we need to be about a small dong? So small that no one would even notice it unless they're really looking. Only the deeply, deeply enfranchised Magic players know about the little red man's dick. Either way, I thought it was an interesting tidbit, an interesting bit of news, and because I covered the sausages before, and I recommend you watch that video as well, by the way. I think it's a good video, talking legitimately about sausages and penises on Magic cards. But I thought, because I covered it before, I should do the follow-up and talk about the removal of a man with penis on Stone Cold Serpent. I would love it if, somehow, somewhere, my video was watched by a Hasbro executive and they just shit themselves. They saw the Stone Cold Serpent art, zoomed in, they saw all my synonyms for penises: dongs, todgers, kielbassas, bratwurst, wieners, chipolatas. I said all this stuff in that video. And they were like, fuck. And they grabbed their phone, they rang up the printing press, and they were like, hold the press. We cannot release this dong into the world. It will do irreparable damage to the family-friendly reputation of Hasbro Incorporated. Meanwhile, that same executive was absolutely okay, though, with them firing loads of staff, even though they've had record profits at Wizards recently. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit, this little look back. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. How much would you pay for a dong Stone Cold Serpent? Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.